Most times, there seems to be confusion over who should lead the building consultant team. Some will tell you that the architect should be the lead consultant. Others will say, nope, the structural engineer should be the lead consultant. I remember when taking a stroll in the cool of the evening, and a lady walked up to me. I would say she's a friend, but she don't know me too well. Let me call her an acquaintance. Yes. So she came to me and asked me that, I know you work in a real estate company. I am interested in getting a property, but I really don't know who I should entrust with my project. I don't know if I should meet an architect, the structural engineer, or other building consultant. I'm really confused. What do you think I should do? Would you like to hear my response? Why not stay with me while we dive right into the video? Hello, everybody. Welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Mari Choma Oyigwe. If you're just joining us, thank you so much for tuning in. So do well to subscribe and join the family. And for my returning subscribers, you guys are the real G's. Thank you so much. In this video, we are going to analyze who should be the best fit for the lead consultant role in construction industry. One thing you should bear in mind is that both the architects and the structural engineers play important roles in building construction team, and their expertise do what complement each other. But despite the fact that they have similarities, both the architect and the structural engineer have some specialist roles they play during construction. Yes. So here is what I said to my friend. I told her that instead of picking these roles or who should fit in to this lead consultant role on assumption, it is best to know what these professionals do. What are the roles they play in the construction industry? That will enable us ascertain who should do what, who should fit properly into the lead consultant role. So here are their roles. Do you know that the word architecture was derived from a Greek word, architecton, which means chief builder? Okay, don't conclude yet. Don't conclude yet. Okay. So one of the roles of an architect is what we call conceptualization and design. And the process of conceptualization begin whereby an architect meets with his or her client, and then the client tenders or give his brief about what he or she needs the architect to work with. Then after that brief is gotten by the architect from the client, the architect do what we call conceptualization. He visualizes what this client wants, add his own design principle to it, okay, and then bring it down on paper, which is the design aspect. So now this conceptualization stage involves producing initial designs, preparing drawings, selecting materials, and finishes. After the architect has bettered his design, the structural engineer steps in. That brings us to the role of a structural engineer. So now, one of the role of a structural engineer is that they do what is called planning and designing as well. Yeah, planning and designing. Yes. But one thing you should know is that structural engineering is a highly specialized field that deals with what design and construction of structures. Yes, they are very, very important. So after the architect has created his design, the structural engineer makes sure that the design created by this architect can safely support all intended loads and be stable throughout the service life of that building. When we talk about intended load, we have it could be a life load or a dead load. When we talk about life loads, they are transit in nature, like people moving in and out of the building. So those loads are calculated by structural engineers, as well as the dead load. Dead load are permanently on the building, like the substructure of the building and its finishes and facade. Their expertise allow architects to do what? To bring their vision to reality. So if an architect visualize, the structural engineer actualize their concept. Not just that, they also enable the architect to create what? Functional spaces and as well as beautiful structure. Without the unique work of structural engineers, many of the impressive buildings and structures we see today will not be in existence, or it will be a total failure. Yeah. Another role of an architect is what we call planning. Yes. Architect work closely with the client, and being the first contact to the client, he advises the client on the need for other professionals like the structural engineers, the MEP consultants, which is the mechanical, electrical, plumbing consultants, contractors, and the rest of the building team. He advises his client on the need to bring them on board. And again, after he has done that, he then work closely with these professionals to see to it that this project is what in progress. And how does he do that? By what? Scheduling, budgeting, as well as making sure that the construction process complies with the what with the local building codes. The next role of a structural engineer in building construction is what we call investigation. Before a structural engineer will begin his design work, you need to know the load bearing capacity of the soil there, and he works alongside a geotechnical engineer. So they go to the site, they take survey of the site, take soil samples, and check the bearing capacity of the soil before he or she proceed to produce the required design for the construction process. And this soil test is actually of great necessity when a building is going above a floor. If your building is going above a floor, you need to carry out a soil test. Don't skip that. Most times in Nigeria, we skip that. It is not good. If you've gotten value from this video so far, let me know in the comment section. The next role of an architect in building construction is what is called construction oversight. Now, during the construction phase, the architect serve as the what primary contact to the client. The architect inspects the building work at intervals to ensure that the building work is carried out in accordance to the contract documents. The next role for structural engineers is what we call analysis of structural components. Now, the thing is, the structural analysis of the components and systems is very critical to every building project. So an experienced structural engineer uses computer softwares and structural calculations to analyze structural elements of the building plan. This includes evaluating the load-bearing capacity of building materials such as concrete and steel. An experienced structural engineer must consider the potential impact of natural disasters such as earthquake, windstorm, and the rest of it. So the next role for an architect during the building construction phase is what we call issuance of payment certificates. Now, the architect being your prime consultant will advise you, which happen to be the client, on how to make payment for everyone that is involved in the project. Now, the architect can tell you that, okay, this contractor has done 50% of this job, so he deserves to be paid so amount of money, or he has done 75% of this job. By so doing, there will be no hiccups or any form of delay. You will notice that there will be a smooth running of your project. You also issue a certificate to them, which is called pay advice. Please note, the architect will not certify payments to any contractor unless the contractor work satisfy the specification he has drawn up. At this stage, it is advisable not to give instruction directly to contractors. Now, most clients are fond of doing this. If they get to site, they'll see some things that they want them to change. They'll just go ahead and want and talk to the contractors to change them. No, it is not correct. Okay? Now, this is so because you need to go back to your architect to tell him that, okay, I intend to change to so and so. Is it possible? Your architect is in the best position to advise you if this thing you're trying to change, if it is necessary, or if the cost implication to it. Okay, if you I've already mentioned this in my previous video, 8 ways to what to save money while building your house in Nigeria. If you've not seen it, try and watch the video. So now, the contractor, if he carry out your instruction, one thing is, there might be cost implication that might favor the contractor. He will not even want to tell you. So the architect is standing in the gap between you and your contractor. The architect will want to deal fairly to both parties, and that is why every project is bounded by what? A contract document. So if you're going to alter your contract document, definitely you should be aware of the consequences that will come with it. If it is not necessary, if your alteration is not necessary, the architect will advise you on it. So please take note of this. So the next on our list on the role of a structural engineer is what we call material selection. Yes, Now, the structural engineer plays a very vital role in material selection. The structural engineers evaluate what? The cost, the strength, the durability of every material that has been selected for the process, such as concrete, steel, wood, masonry, and the rest of them. Through the day analysis and calculation, they determine the optimal material choices for different structural elements, ensuring that they can withstand the expected load and stress. Now, the next role of an architect in the building construction is what? Preparation of what is called contract documents. Contract documents consist of agreements, general conditions, special conditions, scope of work, drawings, specifications, bill of quantity, construction schedule, and lastly, schedule of values. Now, these contract documents are put in place to avoid mistakes, crisis, delays, saving everyone time and money. Okay, the next role for structural engineer in the building construction is what we call code or compliance. Okay. Now, the structural engineers are well versed in both the local and national building codes and guidelines. The structural engineers ensure that these building constructions adhere to these building codes and actually, by so doing, ensure the safety of the building occupants. By staying updated with the recent building codes, the structural engineers that help to minimize the rate of building failure in our society. So the next role for an architect in the building construction is what we call coordination. An architect prepares progress reports as well as monitor the building consultants team, arrange consultant meetings, and also plan work stages. Architect as well seek instruction from client. Architect goes as far as advising the client on the procurement route to indulgence. He also advises his clients to define the criteria for selection of either subcontractors or contractors during tendering or bidding. And most importantly, an architect also advises for rectification of defects. So when an architect gets to your site and you're not meeting up with what has been drawn up in the contract document, he will ask you to what? Rectify every defect in your project. Okay, so the next role an architect play is what? Issuance of final certificate. So the architect issue final certificate after the defect liability period of the project. So why isn't that? He also obtains certificate of occupation from local authorities. So lastly, the architect hand over the keys to the owner. So the next role for structural engineers in the building construction is what we call collaboration and coordination. Structural engineers work closely with all the stakeholders that are involved in the building construction. They collaborate with the architects, the contractors, the MEPs. And I said earlier, the MEPs means the mechanical, the electrical, and the plumbing consultants, and as well as the construction team. The engineer works handy with all these people. By so doing, he addresses design challenges, provides technical guidance, and also ensures smooth implementation of structural plans by actively participating in project meetings, site inspection, and construction progress reviews. So the structural engineers play a pivotal role in maintaining the structural integrity of the building. Don't play. So the next role for structural engineers in building construction is what we call quality assurance and inspection. Throughout the construction process, structural engineers conduct regular inspections to verify that the construction work aligns with the approved plans. They inspect the building materials, foundations, reinforcements, and structural elements to ensure compliance with the design specification. By identifying and addressing any deviations or deficiencies, they ensure that the completed residential building meets the required safety standards and specifications. If you want to see videos like this, kindly click on the like button so that I will know that you like the video. It will enable me to bring more videos your way. That said, who do you think should lead the construction team? The architect or the structural engineer? Write it down in the comment section. Okay, with this we come to the end of today's video. Do well to stay tuned for our subsequent video and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Okay, thank you so much. Bye bye.